They want to use Caitlin Clark fan base to uplift their franchise as a whole.
Indiana Fever leadership, the president, talking about trying to build the Fever brand. That shit should have never came out of her mouth in public. They don't mess up this Caitlin Clark situation, they will become the most valuable team in this country.
Like, this is embarrassing.
The Indiana Fever are quickly realizing they made a huge mistake with Caitlin Clark, and fans aren't buying their sudden change of heart.
But it is Indiana Fever leadership, the president, talking about trying to build the Fever brand.
They tried to sideline her, dim her spotlight, and control the narrative, but it backfired because Caitlin isn't just part of the moment, she is the moment.
It's like the only organization that doesn't want to build around Caitlin Clark is the organization she's currently at. Opportunity. You have one opportunity, and her first initial is C and her second initial is C.
Now the Fever are scrambling, trying to undo the damage. What began as a subtle power play behind the scenes has erupted into one of the biggest missteps in recent sports history.
You don't have any opportunity. You have one opportunity, and her first initial is C and her second initial is C.
From the front office to the coaching staff, they thought they could manipulate Caitlin Clark's path like a game of chess. But the board is flipped, the pieces are flying, and the backlash is hitting hard.
The value is as high as it is ever, and it's nothing to do with what you've done, Kelly. You literally you took over and the team got worse. They got worse.
It all began when Fever president Kelly Koskoff made the now infamous comparison between the Indiana Fever and Apple. She claimed she wanted to build a brand, an enduring legacy, a powerhouse like Apple. And with that one quote, fans saw right through it. It became clear the front office isn't focused on basketball. They're not building a winning team. They're building a marketing campaign. They're chasing moments instead of earning respect.
You cannot push aside your greatest assets, sideline them. You cannot, you can't take the spotlight off of them.
And when your star player is the only reason anyone's paying attention to your franchise, that mindset isn't just tone deaf, it's self-sabotage.
You could replace Caitlin Clark with the second biggest star in the WNBA, which is Angel Reese, and your viewership would tank by 70%.
But that's exactly what we're seeing play out on the court. Caitlin Clark has been stripped of her leadership role. The offense no longer runs through her. The pick and roll with Aaliyah Boston, one of the few things that was actually working, was scrapped like it never mattered.
This team could blow a massive opportunity. I said yesterday, I think Indiana is the best place for her because it's a Midwest team.
And when Clark tried to rally her teammates during a huddle, the Fever didn't send in a coach or a veteran presence. They sent in a sports psychologist, as if she was the problem. Think about that. They demand leadership from her. And when she steps up, they shut her down.
Fans has pretty much went on a tear, down on a tear with dismantling the team front office, man. They're putting everything on the blame of the front office.
This goes beyond bad coaching decisions. It feels personal. The Fever don't just want to win, they want the spotlight. They want the Caitlin Clark boost without actually letting her lead. And now, that approach is blowing up in their face because the numbers speak for themselves. When Caitlin Clark is on the court, records are shattered. When she's not, viewership plummets. One bold projection said it all. Swap her out for Angel Reese, and you lose 70% of your audience. Even with Paige Buchers, you'd still lose 60%. There is no backup plan. Caitlin is the plan.
The Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston deadly connection, pick and roll, two-man game connection that has worked this whole season, gone.
Analysts have said it over and over. The Fever had a golden opportunity to become America's team if they leaned into Caitlin fully. But instead, they're trying to squeeze her into some cookie-cutter team model focused on sharing the spotlight and marketing the brand. You don't build a dynasty by dimming your brightest star. You let her lead, or you watch the whole thing fall apart.
Caitlin Clark should always be the instigator of offense on this team. The distributor and instigator of offense, whether it is her scoring or her distributing the ball out in the way that we know she can.
What's happening now is downright unreal. The chemistry between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, gone. The offense, completely unraveled. Coaching under Stephanie White, even the commentators are pointing out how it's gone downhill.
Every single good thing that has happened to your organization is because of number 22 from Iowa.
She had a star duo in her hands and smothered it. The Fever look lost. This is the backlash. This is the fallout. And it's only the beginning. The Fever thought they could outmaneuver the fans, that they could package the Caitlin Clark phenomenon into a tidy little marketing campaign. But with each passing game, it becomes more obvious. You can't contain that kind of electricity. Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player, she's a cultural shift. And in trying to control it, the Indiana Fever are watching that magic slip right through their hands.
You have to consider the possibility that the Indiana Fever are in on the plot to destroy Caitlin Clark.
What they failed to anticipate was the sheer gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark's presence. She's not just selling out arenas, she's fueling a movement, and the Fever completely underestimated that force. Now, instead of riding the wave of her stardom, the franchise is spiraling, scrambling to clean up a mess without admitting they've made one of the most damaging missteps in their history. By sidelining Clark's influence, they've alienated the very fan base that was ready to carry this team to new heights. This isn't just a tactical error, it's an identity crisis. The Fever have been playing chess, but Caitlin Clark is the checkmate.
You can't put cuffs on them as players. You certainly can't do that. You're going to create animosity, resentment towards the franchise because, if they'd have tried this with Jordan back in the day, holy hell.
And unless they make a drastic course correction, the team's legacy and future could fade into a mere footnote in WNBA history. The end of the Indiana Fever as we know it may already be in motion, and with each passing day, it looks less like a warning and more like a countdown. But let's talk about what really happened on that court, because this wasn't just a bad stretch or a minor misstep. What the Indiana Fever did to Caitlin Clark was the kind of move that makes fans burn jerseys and swear off the team. They didn't just misuse her, they tried to suppress her, to control her, to erase her impact from the very offense she should be leading. They went straight to the oldest trick in the book: take the ball out of her hands. Literally. Caitlin Clark, the same player who led the nation in assists, the one who turned orchestrating an offense into an art form, was suddenly a bystander. No longer the engine, just a passenger. The Fever started parking her in the corner, off ball, watching plays unfold without her. Watching. This is Caitlin Clark we're talking about. A player whose entire identity is about initiating, creating, and leading, and they turned her into a spectator. Then came the huddle moment. The one that pulled the curtain back and showed everyone exactly how this franchise views its star. Caitlin Clark tried to rally her team. Nothing outrageous, just raw, passionate leadership, the kind coaches usually dream of. She got emotional, she got vocal, she took initiative. And how did the Fever respond? They sent in a sports psychologist. Seriously. Instead of backing their leader, they treated her like a problem that needed managing. It wasn't about helping her, it was about control. They don't want this to be her team. That's why her role keeps shrinking. That's why the spotlight keeps getting redirected. And that's when the fans snapped. We're not talking about casual complaints. This was a full-blown revolt. Fans aren't just tweeting, "Do better." They're boycotting games, refusing to buy merch, and surgically dismantling the front office online. They're filming huddles, posting receipts, breaking down every shift in strategy like it's a court trial. This isn't just outrage, it's organized. Social media is flooded with timelines, stats, and video clips. 1 minute, Clark's running the offense and the team is clicking. The next, she's off ball, invisible, and everything falls apart. The evidence is overwhelming, and the message is crystal clear. You don't build a franchise by alienating the very foundation it's built on. Because Caitlin Clark's fan base isn't just large, it's fiercely loyal, deeply invested, and absolutely everywhere. They followed her from Iowa. They packed arenas on the road. They turned ordinary WNBA games into can't-miss primetime events. The Fever didn't just misread the room, they tried to push out the very person who built the house. Now the backlash is in full swing. The Fever stand accused of suppressing their own star, underestimating their fans, and breaking the most basic rule in sports. You don't win by silencing greatness, you win by unleashing it. And if they keep this up, the fans will make sure the Indiana Fever aren't remembered for building the next Apple. They'll be remembered for tossing their golden iPhone in the trash and trying to sell the world a brick instead. Now let's talk numbers, because at the end of the day, forget the vibes, forget the merch, forget the narratives. This all boils down to ratings. And the second the Indiana Fever tried to downplay Caitlin Clark's impact, the data slapped them in the face. Here's the unfiltered truth. Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's rating surge, period. No asterisks, no debate. When she's on the court, viewership hits historic highs. When she's not, silence. The moment she's pulled out of the spotlight, It's like someone cut the cord on national interest. Let's not kid ourselves. This success isn't because of clever front office strategy. Nobody was tuning in like this before Clark arrived. Look at the numbers. Pre-Clark, regular season games struggled to break 100,000 viewers. Now, Clark-led games are drawing in millions. Take her out of the equation, and it's right back to barely noticeable viewership. The contrast isn't subtle, it's seismic. And here's where it gets even worse. Swap out Caitlin Clark for Angel Reese, your viewership tanks by 70%. That's not shade, it's just the numbers. Bring in Paige Buchers instead, still down 60%. There is no substitute for Caitlin Clark. She's not just part of the machine, she is the machine. Fans have made it crystal clear. Every bit of this momentum, the sold-out arenas, the TV deals, the sudden corporate love for women's basketball, it all traces back to Nano 2022 from Iowa. Caitlin sparked the surge, and now the data's already starting to tremble. The ratings tightrope is shaking, and the Fever are out here pretending everything's fine while juggling chainsaws with a blindfold on. So what happens if she walks? Simple. The Indiana Fever's relevance dies on the spot. This wouldn't be a rebuild. It wouldn't be a rebrand. It would be a funeral. No more sold-out crowds, no more national headlines, no more viral clips lighting up TikTok. You go from America's team to a forgotten franchise playing in front of 4,000 empty chairs. And no, the Pacers can't save you. Even if they win another NBA title, they don't carry the cultural gravity Caitlin Clark does. She's not just lifting a team, she's elevating an entire league. Lose her, and the Fever don't just fall back to earth, they vanish from the map. So sure, the front office can keep preaching about team-first basketball and branding like they're running a Silicon Valley startup. But if Caitlin Clark walks out that door, here's the truth. The Indiana Fever go back to being exactly what they were before, irrelevant. And this once-in-a-generation shot? It'll be gone, for good. This is it, the final warning, the last flashing red light before it all goes dark. There's still time to course correct, but the window is closing fast. The fans have spoken, the media's echoed it, the numbers back it up, and now only one question remains. Will you listen? Or will pride send this franchise off a cliff? Because the damage is already showing, a team in disarray, a fan base in open rebellion, and a generational superstar being stifled by the very system she saved. The Fever thought they could control the story, but now the story is devouring them. They believed they could build a balanced team without giving the keys to the most electric player women's basketball has seen in decades. And now they're drowning in the fallout. It's not too late, but one more post-game deflection, one more empty scheme, one more ignored pick and roll, and this whole thing collapses. So, let this be the message loud and clear. Let Caitlin cook, or prepare for the end of the Fever. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more WNBA updates.